Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. This is episode 47, and I, of course, am Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo. This week is going to be kind of hectic for me. I have to travel for training for my job, which means every one of my videos has to be shot on one of my days off, and I'm also trying to put together a presentation that I have to give for my training session. So my life is kind of up in shambles, and I'm trying to learn the game a little bit better so I can bring you better videos. And oh my Lord, today is just nuts. And it's not just doing 3 videos. It's doing the Reclaimer video, it's doing my vlog, and then doing an SCAA, all of which takes a few hours each. So hopefully I'm not going to run over on this one. SCAA, of course, has become the news show each week, and we are now listed in the podcast section on the RSI website. I keep trying to say Cloud Imperium Games, but of course, it's Robert Space Industries website. And that's pretty cool. We're one of 5 people that are going to be listed so far, but if you have a podcast like Sonny's Diner and any of the other ones that people listen to on a weekly basis, please, please, please go out there and get your stuff into Ben and James so it could be listed also. Hey, I might like to do my podcast, but you know what? Without competition out there, they really do get boring and nobody strives for excellence. So get out there. Give me something to strive for. I can't wait for Wes to be back because I think that Wes's whole truth is absolutely one of the better podcasts, videocasts out there. And of course, Joe Marino and his crew over at StarCast. And I don't want to leave anybody out. There's Dr. Hawk, and well, we'll go on and on and on. And I don't want to spend too much time on this one subject. So, more gifts. Only this time it was my own self that got a gift. So I'm going to reach down over here. And now I am back on air. This is the Constellation model. It's actually pretty heavy and done really well. I think the weapons on the weapon turrets here and here and here, which you can't see, are way too tiny for what they said they're going to be. They look more like handguns than they do laser guns. You know, like the Bearing M6A lasers that are supposed to be on here. But this is an incredible model, and parts are able to move and move in and out. It gives you an idea of the articulation of certain parts. Like over here, you can see the canards go forward for landing and back for spaceflight. Really cool. $125. Last I looked, there were still some left, but this is amazing. And remember, on my show, Sandy said, if you're going to look for something like a Retaliator or a Cutlass and they decide to do them in the future, she'll give us a heads up, take some pre-orders, see if we get enough. And of course, I will be over here on my show, pimping it and pushing it out as much as I can. God, I love this thing. Little by little, I'm getting my little shrine of Star Citizen and Wing Commander stuff together. Oh, and Elite Dangerous, which I know you people don't want me to talk about here. All right, so in my vlog, I talked a little bit about my concerns with racing. That there has been this huge movement towards finding shortcuts and cutting through different areas of the track to make it to each gate a lot faster. At first I was like, cheaters, oh my god, I can't believe you're doing that, you're ruining the game. I've since changed my mind. And I think that it all came about from listening to Captain Richard this past weekend. And you could go to my vlog and listen to the rest of this. So I believe that there should be 2 race modes, one for the hardcore race fanatics and one for the people that have figured out the shortcuts and have practiced and gained the skill to actually make those shortcuts work. And go watch my video and you'll see what I mean. But I had an opportunity to call in to Ben and get him to elaborate on this a little bit. And let's listen to it right now. And here we are with Ben Lesnick to answer our question about racing. Ben, I have a simple question about racing. I don't know how simple it is. It took me actually having to watch a couple of streamers to come up with my own opinion. It seems that when people are racing, there's a course that's outlined, and then there's the course that people actually fly. Now, I don't know which one is right or wrong. And after being upset at first and then watching some streamers, I want to give them kudos for finding the shortcuts and actually having the skill set to fly those shortcuts that they take. But what was the original intention of the game? Were you supposed to follow a course or find the shortest distance between the two gates?
Well, with any race, of course, you're supposed to follow the course. There are intentionally some shortcuts thrown in there, and it's not limited to Star Citizen. You'll find the same thing if you're playing Mario Kart or Forza or anything. Well, maybe not one with the circular track, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, the idea for Star Citizen is to work within our rule sets to do the best you can, you know, in dogfighting here and anywhere. If we watch people playing these games and we say, okay, here's a shortcut we didn't think of that kind of ruins the game, yes, we'll edit it out going forward. But I think our current take is it's pretty cool that people are finding new ways to play the map. And Star Citizen is all about emergent gameplay. So.
Good. And that's what I decided. That's kind of the mindset that I ended with. But the question comes, do you think that you're going to have a more strict rule set for people that want F1 style racing where you have to follow a course and it's how skilled you are at flying the predetermined course? Because
Absolutely.
All right, go on.
Absolutely. We see a whole spectrum of potential races in the future.
Good.
Some where you'll have to follow a very clear course. Some will be, you know, off in the lawless badlands where you're killing each other to get through debris quickly enough. There's going to be all sorts.
All right, great. And those were the questions I had, because to me, when I was getting my butt kicked and not knowing what was going on, it just didn't seem fair. And then after spending an hour today just practicing the moves, it goes to the point that Chris said, this is a skill-based game. And once you get the moves down that it takes to fly those shortcuts, it's absolutely fun. So I wanted, yeah, go on.
But honestly, how cool was it that if we have this racing scenario and players start taking advantage of these tricks to get through the pylons more quickly, and then they gain this reputation, oh, these guys are cheating. You know, it's all inside the world. You know, you create that debate inside the Star Citizen universe instead of as a game balancing thing. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Well, one of the guys that I talked to, he put it to me plainly. He said, this is alpha. It's time for us to find these things so CIG knows, is it an exploit or is it not? So by the time it goes beta and then full release, it's fixed. And I think that's right. Okay?
Yep. No question about it.
All right. Next week, I'm going to be coming at you for questions about Arena Commander UEC. I know it's not rolled out, but I just want to get your ideas and what type of things we will see for that. So that will be next week's question. If you can join me once a week, I want to ask you one question. That's it. You think that's all right?
Yeah, sure. I'll do my best.
All right. Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate it, and that puts it to rest. It is supposed to be in the game, and there may be modes where the shortcuts aren't allowed, and you have to follow the actual racetrack. And with that said, Ben, thank you. I will talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. I'm sorry there was no video for that interview. I'm still trying to figure out how to get everything working the right way. I will get that locked down for the next time I talk to Ben, but with his audio never being so great and so many people talking in the background and there being a lot of lag, I think they might be uploading a patch or something, because his mouth moved and the words came out 5 minutes later, or he talked and then his mouth moved. It's really bad, and I got really good internet, so we went to the audio only and it worked. And I think that Ben is amazing for giving all of us the opportunity to contact him like that and get their message and find out what things really are. And they're really active on the website too. Lore Builder is into the second phase of this beverage part of the Lore Builder, and you have until Wednesday, I believe it is, to get your votes in and vote for the beverages that you'd like to be in the game. I can't wait for this. I think this is wonderful. I really pimp these Lore Builders every time they're out. I think it is amazing that they're giving us the opportunity to help create the universe that we want to play in. With that said, the 10,000 votes needed for the Lego Hornet were gained. Now it goes to the second part of the, I guess, the determination, the process. of which they can actually bring that in and make it into a Lego kit. God, I hope that they do this. Now, somebody make a cutlass and somebody make a constellation. Those have to be hard to make, right? I'd love to see if there are any other Lego creations out there. I've already started to see a bunch of Kerbal Space Program ones, and I think that you guys in Kerbal Space Program are amazing too. Yeah, I get off on tangents, but it's the tangents I like. Okay, I got a little bit out of sync here, and of course there was a letter for the chairman, and there's going to be another one. So the winner of last week's vote was the ballistic Gatling gun, and we sailed through that. And actually, I think it was what we're going to talk about in a few minutes, the Redeemer sale. Or sorry, I say Redeemer. We have Retaliator, Redeemer, and Reclaimer. Redeemer, Reclaimer, Redeemer, Reclaimer. Oh my God, too many re-somethings. At least they're all Aegis Dynamics, right? That's pretty cool. So they all have that re-type name. So we blew through these two stretch goals real fast. One with the ship sale that was for the racers, Aegis Dynamics Reclaimer, which was $350 per ship, and you got the poster. We talked about this a couple of times from last week's show all the way through to my vlog, and I did a Reclaimer video earlier this week. So you got a number of things. You got LTI, which I told you, it's just a reduction in price in-game for the ship. You don't have to pay for the upkeep. It doesn't change anything. You blow up your ship, you still have to wait for it to be built and put back into your hangar. So you could use it, and that could take as long as it takes. If there's no resources getting to Aegis Dynamics, it's going to take a long time. I started to think about these concept ship sales and the really big ones and the pay-to-win, pay-to-play type stuff. And I think I need to just explain something here. Yeah, I started talking about the stretch goal, but this all ties in, I promise you, okay? Because the stretch goal is getting us to certain dollar amounts and the ships cost money, right? So I'm not against keeping the stretch goals going because we do need money and we do need big ships being purchased. The reason being is that when the PU goes live, it has to be a living, breathing universe with things moving from A to B in it. And it's going to take some of the more addicted people like myself and others that are buying these ships to actually start moving cargo and salvaging things and exploring things right from the start. Yes, you could start off in your Aurora, but if the NPC pirates are constantly attacking the trade routes to get materials to Aegis Dynamics, Anvil, Aerospace, to Consolidated Outland, to Origin Jumpworks, to Drake Interplanetary, to those places, we're going to have a long time waiting for our ships to be rebuilt. So we need people to be buying these big ships that are able to haul, to mine, and to salvage and to explore, so the world is pretty much working when we go live. So with that said, every time we reach a stretch goal, I used to go, oh my God, we just keep on spending more and more money. When's this ever going to stop? And at this point, I don't think we have to worry about when it stops. Each one of those stretch goals that we hit is meaning that people are buying things in the game, whether it be a t-shirt, which maybe $1 hits it, or the model that I showed you, which probably nothing hits it, or ships and other things that are in game. I think it's a good thing, right? So I'm not as against paying for ships if that's what you want to do. It helps us get to the point where the game is going to actually have a lot going on when it starts. So in Chris's letter, he's saying every backer who pledges before we hit 55 million will have a pair of Inquisition 22 ballistic Gatling cannons. And guess what? This week, the winner, because they gave us and said, all right, let's vote again to see what we're going to be going for the $56 million. And it looks like we are going for the cooling system. And that will be called the Cooling J-Span Cryo Star. Now, that will help those of you that are using those Gatling guns and those repeater weapons all the time, and they keep overheating. So they should be able to go a little bit further before they do overheat. How we're going to actually utilize this in-game right now is kind of up in the air. I don't know if the slots for us to stick these parts in are actually in-game yet. If you got an opportunity to look at the Popular Science cutaway drawing of the, I guess it's the Anvil Aerospace Gladiator, you'll see what their idea is and where things are supposed to fit, which is also something to take note of. When you're firing on a ship, especially the Gladiator, now that we've seen the cutaway, you know exactly where to fire and what to take out if you want to disable the ship or bring it down piece by piece. Pretty cool, right? So, letter from the chairman, I tied it in with a couple of things there. I'm sorry about the tangent. I just wanted to add that in there to show you that the game is growing, and it's growing for a good reason. And though some of us go, I can't believe people just went out and spent $350 on a ship, it actually is going to help us in the long run. Now, I did get a reclaimer, but I had two of the constellations, and I got to thinking, I really, really, really want the Carrack. And I think the Carrack is going to be my primary focus in the game. It's going to be something that I want to do. It's going to be getting out there and exploring the stars. And yes, the Aquila was an amazing exploration vessel. But this dedicated version, the Anvil Aerospace Carrack, is going to have a med bay and all sorts of other things inside of it. And I think that is going to be more my playstyle. I have the Phoenix as my org ship, and I have an LN, and I have my 2 racing ships and a Hornet and a Gladiator and a I have ships. But I think that I'm going to really want to get that Carrack. So I melted my Aquila. I melted my 325A, which is the 4th time I've melted that ship, and I just keep on getting it back. So it either means one of two things. I either love that ship so much I always want to have it, or I keep buying it thinking I like it and getting rid of it. I think it's the former, not the latter. I do love the look of that ship, and I can't wait to actually use it as my primary solo fighter in the game, if it is actually as good as I think it's going to be. It should be a little bit better than the 300i, as it's going to have increased armor and weapon systems. So the Aegis Dynamics ship came out, and we're going to just flow right into that. And this is the first one of those concept ship sales where we have the LTI, like I talked about. We get the poster as soon as we buy it, which they're still waiting on the artwork for. And that artwork should be coming our way sometime this week, and we'll get a look at it. And hopefully by the time that 13.1 goes live, the artwork will be in our hangar, and we'll be able to see this poster. And you get a model, not that model, but an in-game model, which is kind of the same thing, only it's in-game. God, they're selling us the models. I wish they'd sell us one of those glass cases too. That would be amazing, right? And the glass case where the actual ship just floats in. And of course, you get the lowest price that you're going to get on the ship. So the Reclaimer came out, and we blasted through the $55 million stretch goal. There were a lot of people that liked this ship, and I did my talk about it earlier this week. This ship works in tandem, not all the time, but some of the time, with the exploration vessels. The explorers go out there and find new star systems. The explorers go out there and find minerals. And then in come ships like the Reclaimer and the Orion to take advantage of those. If you were hoping to be Indiana Jones in this game and go and explore new worlds and everything, the exploration vessel goes out there and tags them, and then you take this vessel over there and go search for artifacts or suck the resources out of, floating out asteroids, which I bet you anything the mining barge is going to be better, but that thing's going to be huge. I don't think that thing's going to fly like this is. So there's a couple of things to remember. We have CitizenCon coming up in 2 weeks. Holy cow, that's a short amount of time. And 300 of y'all are going to be there. And CitizenCon is kind of like a state of the game convention where they tell us what they've done. It's kind of like getting that monthly report, but for the year. And then they do introduce some things. Expect the Mustang to be given out at CitizenCon. I think I was totally wrong about their... God, I got all these RE things on it. But the Retaliator, I do not think is coming out at this time. It's not entered into damaged states yet, and it's still getting animations done. So I don't think it's getting into the game yet. I can't wait to have it in my hangar. I love that ship. And now that I'm talking about it, watch that video behind me. It's amazing. So Mustang will be out, and there'll be 2 racing variants, which will be visibly different from the rest of the variants out there. We also have a couple of other surprises that they could throw at us. And what are they? They could tell us that the Aegis Dynamics Gladius is done. They could tell us that the Gladiator is done. They can tell us that the Cutlass is done. Now, one thing that was in last week's Around the Verse, or it might have been the week before, was when they interviewed David Ladyman. He said he's working on 7 brochures that we should all be seeing within the next 8 to 10 weeks. 7 brochures. 7 brochures. Now, mind you, they just released the Constellation, and that was 4 brochures. If we go back to the old way of 1 brochure per ship, that could have meant 7 ships. But 7 brochures. Is it 2, 3, or 4 ships? That's what I'm wondering. One of those ships has at least 2 variants. The Mustang. The Cutlass, God knows how many variants they're going to have. But the Retaliator should just be 1 variant. It's a long-range bomber, and because it has the modular bays, you could turn it into whatever you want. The Gladius, 1 version. It's just a personal fighter. The Gladiator, God only knows. Search and rescue, torpedo bomber. So I don't know. 7 of these brochures coming out. So we have a lot going on. We have a lot coming up. And I'm going to be away this week. Let's close it out now. The contest is going strong for the Freelancer MIS. I have now gotten 1,216, 1,217 viewers. That means the month of September was my best month ever. 217 of you all subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much for giving me that, for giving me the confidence that you give every time one of you subscribes. And we also had the most likes. We had the most comments out of any of the months I've done this. Thank you. Thank you. So the MIS looks like it will be given away before Thanksgiving if we keep up on this track. So please, please, please continue the shares, whether you're in the contest or not. Tell your friends and family. Yeah, tell them about the strange girl on YouTube that talks about a sci-fi game. Yeah, with the big tits. But, thank you. I'm kind of humbled right now. I feel like this is becoming a fun job instead of just like a hobby. And I look forward to doing it each week. And thankfully, you keep coming back to watch. So one way you can help support the show is by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/Batgirl. Your donations can help me make the show better. Get better lighting, do better soundproofing in this room, get a better camera, which is what I'm dying for, and also offset the cost of doing the show, which is just around $200 a month, okay? Between internet fees and so many other things that I have to do. And don't forget, I buy things to give away. I give away hanger flare. I've given away ships on my own. Last 2 or 3 have been given to me from CIG. I don't expect that all the time. But if you go out there, you can make a donation as little as $1, or you could up it to $1, $2, $5 per Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous episode, which is the Wednesday show I release each week. That's all up to you. But all I can say is thank you regardless of you becoming a patron or not. The fact that you watch it is why I'm here. The fact that you comment and like it is what makes me happy and what keeps me going. And if you do donate, it's just the byproduct that helps me get better. If you want me to get better, that will be a big help. All right, so we're at the end of the show. What's coming up? Next week, my question to Ben, because we're going to call Ben every week. My question to Ben is going to be about how what their plans are on implementing the UEC credits in-game, what kind of weapons and systems we could hope to get, and how they'll be implemented, like how will we add them to our ship. So we're going to ask him that question, and that will be it. With that said, I think I've talked enough this week. I've got to go pack and get ready to go. So, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.